Okay, so we're all set. We're recording, and I think you might be looking at my screen. Are we looking at my screen? It's very messy right now. I think so. So hold on one second. Let me just look at one thing really quick so we can make sure I get good things ready. All right, so you're showing my screen. So Elizabeth, if you can't see my screen, let me know.
I can't see your screen.
Um, you cannot. All
No.
right, that's what I need to know. All right, so let me do this. Change this to me. Okay, I'll make this 10 be the center. All right, I
Okay.
think I'm now the center.
Yes.
There we go. And now I show my screen. All right, folks. Can
There we
everybody
go.
see my screen? It's a big mess. Lots of words on it. I promise it's not as disorganized as it may seem. So this is, these are check-in, training phase update opportunities, chances to chat with each other, answer some questions, and get a little sneak peek at the future. I'm still in a little bit of a euphoric sense after the weekend because we had a great weekend of racing for our Smile Train folks and for some of the other folks that we've been working with. Um, so we had some really great results, a couple of great PRs, a couple of real breakthroughs, and some opportunities for folks to race a distance they've never even thought they could before. So I'm still on a little bit of a weekend high. So if you're in a workplace, I'll try not to get too excited. But it really was a great weekend, and it just makes me excited for what you guys are going to do in a couple months as we go forward. So like I said, today, our big goal today, let's review where we've been and what we've been doing. And as you guys know, we've been transferring everyone, some of those quick updates, we've been transferring everyone into Training Peaks. So the one thing I do want to do today is talk a little bit about the Training Peaks and how I've got that set up and show you a little bit of what that looks like. I also want to give you the update of kind of where we are training-wise and talk through the next 3 weeks. I know that a few people have talked to me and said, I don't understand what you mean by, lactate buffering and things like that. So I want to make sure we can go through some of those questions and show you one of the tools we'll use to do that moving forward. And the other thing I do want to make sure that I make clear is, we're building a program, and I've said this in a few other emails with Smile Train, and your feedback, you're our clients, and you are the folks that, you're raising money and doing something great, and we're here to support you as a coaching staff. So if you have feedback and if you have emails, I know, Rob, I'm looking at your name going, I know I've been trying to connect with you for 2 weeks now. Make sure we hear your feedback, because if there's something you need or you want from this program that we're not providing, if we're not providing it, it's only because we don't know you need it. So if you need something more, please let us know and give us that feedback. All right, so let's get into things. First and foremost, just a quick where we are. And this is your calendar in front of you. A lot of folks have been racing. This is where we do have folks who've just raced Raleigh in Hawaii. We have people that are racing in Staffordshire as well as in Mont Tremblant in the coming weeks. So this is a very typical, in an Ironman Arizona type build, this is very typical to be your race season. So you've built your fitness up to the point where we're pretty confident that you could go out there and race anything up to a half Ironman distance. And we feel like this is a chance to do it. But we also feel it really important in an Ironman build to have gone through a serious build and then to take a little bit of time off and then start to do some very focused work in each individual sport. For instance, one of the things we just did was a bike build. What they were hoping that did was, one, gave you a chance to work on the bike, but also give your running legs a little bit of a break and help you recover and build some volume there. And now what we do is to move forward. We've established volume in the bike. We're going to continue with the volume, holding that volume even, but also now trying to build volume on your legs on the run. So you can see here, if this is our date, this is June 1st. We're 17 weeks into our training program. We still have a lot of time left, folks. So we've got another, if I'm bad at math, so we've got another good bout of training ahead of us. So 45 weeks, November 15th is our race date. So we're trying to stretch things out. What I like about this is it's nice for us to stretch things out And it also gives you the chance to kind of tell us if you need to back off or you need to build a little bit slower. And we'll get into that a little bit as we move forward. So that's just a quick snapshot. We've got 28 weeks left of training, which is a lot of time. So don't be stressed too much, but do give us your feedback if you feel like, oh, I'm a little bit ahead of time, or I'm a little bit behind, so we can make sure we catch you up. Now, Training Peaks, like we said before, we use Training Peaks for everything. The way Training Peaks works, I can look at you. It makes my life and your life actually really quite easy. The quick overview tabs over here, these are my people. So these are you guys. So these are my Smile Train folks. All right, so all of you guys are in here. If you're not in here, one of two things is happening counts yet. It does take a little bit of manual labor, so we're doing that. You will see this. You will get this uploaded. So I will upload here. It'll be a very simple thing. I'm actually going to do it right now to show you how this works. So these are all our Ironman Arizona folks. So if we take this plan right here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my training plan library. I'm going to go to the IMAZ, where is it, 2015, run workout, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to select the athletes that I'm going to put this in. I'm going to go right down here to my IMAZ folks. Oh my gosh, but I have to click everybody, I think. So everybody's going to get this. So if you guys are on the screen, what this does is it uploads to everybody's account. This way you're not chasing different things. So the workouts are in there. And what we're hoping here is that as you guys do this and you get these workouts and you complete them, you give us your feedback. And part of the feedback that we want is whether or not you've done the workout, whether it was too hard, whether it was too easy, all those good things, so that we can track your fitness and track your progress moving forward. So bear with me as I do many little clicks here. There's got to be an easier way to do that. Don't want you to forget you, Douglas. And we'll get you guys in there. So if you haven't logged in or you haven't seen this, you can go in and change the usernames and the passwords. We've set it up so that essentially the username is STIMAZ, S-T-I-M-A-Z, and your first initial and last name for Training Peaks. So that's your username. And then you can go in and you should get a notice that gets you all set if you haven't done it already. All right, now if I apply this, I'm going to apply this to today, and that's going to apply. And what that's going to do is that's going to put this workout plan into your Training Peaks account. It should do that right now, relatively quickly. There you go. So we've been applied successfully. So I can go in here and let's check and see if you guys have it. All right, let's see. Let's go to Petra. Do you have it? We'll give her a second. So there it is. So this is our training plan. This is our next 3 weeks, and this is our perfect little segue, if you like those kind of things, right into what we're doing over the next 3-week build. Now, I'm going to give you a fair warning on this build. This is a run build, and this is a lot of running. And my most important thing about running is that running is the most dangerous of the 3 sports. It's not, you're not going to crash as often on running as you might on a bike, but running causes the most physical damage to your body. It is the most pounding that you do, and it can be the most challenging. So what I'd really suggest, and I really want to stress before we even get into talking about the workouts themselves, this run program has you running a couple of the long runs upwards of 2 hours. I'm not a huge fan of going over 2 hours. This is the only time you would ever run more than 2 hours during this entire program. But this is one of those times where we're going to put it in there and see how you go. Now, if you're running 6-minute miles, and that means that you're going to be out there and you're going to run a full marathon in that 3-hour run, I don't want you to go that far. But I do want you to be wise and be smart about this. If 3 hours is beyond your abilities right now, we can do this one of 2 ways. We treat the long, super long runs as if they're a race day. So if the 3-hour run is too long, you're going to run it as an aid station run. So you're going to run 10 minutes and you're going to walk for 3. You're going to run and walk for 3 as if you're stopping at an aid station, because that's what you're practicing. And we'll talk more about that each week. I'll send some data out about that. But as I said before, I want to go through each week. It's a 3-week build. It's going to finish with a major recovery week. So you're going to have a full week of recovery at the end of this build. But let's see as we go, as we get started here. We start June 1st. That's today. This week, this session, we have 1 day off. That Monday is a full day off, full recovery, and I really want you to take it off completely. No activities really at all unless you're going to do just a very, very simple stretch. Each week starts off, as you can see, it's a building run distance. So each week we have an aerobic stimulation run. This is 30 minutes of endurance. Okay, very simple. And then we do a build. Hard effort. Takes you 8-minute hard efforts. Now remember, you're training for an Ironman, so everything starts with that 30 minutes. We always start each work out as building. A good rule of thumb is to always be thinking about the negative split. I always want to be faster on the back end. So we're building some top end speed because even though it's an Ironman, you still need to work on speed. Speed becomes very relative, but we want to make you a faster and fitter athlete overall. So you can see if we kind of tick through, if you follow this little hand here, we do this run, this aerobic stim run for an hour here. We do it for an hour and 15 minutes here. We add, what we're doing is we're not necessarily bumping up so much of the harder efforts. So the 2x8 remains 2x8. But what we're doing is we're loading the front end with endurance. So we're building your overall endurance in that run. And then what we do in our third week, we cap it a little bit. We make it a little bit more challenging. We go 12 minutes at the harder pace. So we go back down to 30 minutes, but now we extend the 12-minute harder effort. So that's your capper. So that's your build. So everything is progressing throughout this. Again, we're going to focus on the run right now, just so we can look through. So the next run is your Thursday run. We're doing a threshold run. So again, a progression. 45 minutes in endurance, all right, then 30 minutes at a threshold. So the threshold pace is something you could hold for an hour. So it's not tempo, it's not a 10K pace, 10K unless your 10K is an hour. But it's that, what can I hold for an hour? How can I be comfortable for that hour? So we're going to start with 30 minutes of that. But again, front-loading this effort, 45 minutes at endurance, and the goal is, as it says here, progression runs are all about running faster than you started, and that's the key here. All right. So you see it's same type of progression here. We go an hour and 15 here. We go an hour and 30. All right. So we build this one up, endurance pace run, 2 times 12-minute tempo intervals during the first 60 minutes, and this is your choice. All right. As you feel in that first hour, as you feel better and as you feel warmed up, then gradually let your body start to move faster and build into it. Okay, again, run faster at the end, then we do the beginning minutes to that endurance, so a full 60 minutes, and then 30. All right. Megan, who's the coach that I'm working with, she works with me at Tail Endurance, and she's helping us write a lot of these plans. She's been very keen on the progression runs. She's used personally. She's a multiple Ironman Kona qualifier herself, but she's someone who comes from a running background. And the threshold runs, these type of progression runs, really help you mindset into moving faster at the end. And that's what Ironman is all about. And it's not necessarily that we're looking for running a threshold at the end of an Ironman, but it's the idea of when the going gets tough out there and you're moving towards the end of that day, we want to be able to say, you want your brain to click into, oh, okay, this is the hard stuff. I know what this is like. I know how to do this. And that's what we want your brain to be clicking into. Now, I had mentioned the long runs. You know, you can see a progression here. We start with 2 hours. Similar type of thing here. A progression, 75 minutes at endurance pace, and then a 5-minute tempo into each half hour. So these are little insertion points of effort as we go forward. And then pick up the pace again into your half Ironman race pace. Endurance pace. Endurance pace is your marathon pace, or your marathon pace actually plus 1 minute for most folks. So if you're running a 3-hour marathon, which is a 6:51 pace, we're looking at you running at best 7:51 during these endurance paces. We want these to be very light and very relaxing. Your heart rate is low, all right? And we don't want to make this a hard run, all right? So we want to make this easy, and then we want the parts that are quality to be real quality efforts. So when we do our pickups, we want them to be real quality, moving you into that tempo zone. We do a similar progression here, 2:15, okay? And then what we do is we make a big jump here in this last one. We jump to 3 hours, all right? And at 3 hours, all right, this is an approximate, all right? First 2.5 hours at endurance. All right, so you're running 2.5 hours, a very light, easy thing. I would recommend bringing a friend or a book or something. These are long runs. I would love to see you running these long runs on trails, surfaces, and checking your shoes. Obviously, injury is my biggest concern. I don't want to see you get injured out there, so we can keep your training consistent. But this is a long run, but the same idea here. All right, a long start and then adding effort at the end of the run. I want your mind really always thinking about how can I run faster at the end. Okay, so that's the run progression, and some of you may be saying, well, that's enough for me. I don't need any more. But there is that whole swim and bike portion as well that we need to talk about. Our swims are still set. We're still kind of maintaining in the swim. We're staying along the same progression lines that we've done before. I'd love to use the swim towards the end of the season when we're starting to fade a little bit. I'd love to see that kind of build up a little bit so that we can replace some of the endurance work so our bodies can heal a little bit with our swimming. But you need to be in shape to do that. So you see here we've got our swim workouts. All right, this is 3,081 yards, which means to me that this should be 3,000 yards. So it's doing a meters calculation, training peaks. You see that? Easy fix. But maintenance work in the swim. All right, 2 swims a week. All right, so that we can make sure that we get our run and bike time in. Again, making sure not that we're discounting the swim, but we're making sure that we're getting using this period to really build these efforts. What's happening on the bike is becoming very secondary and is becoming very endurance-based. All right, your hard efforts are definitely happening during the runs. So we're going to make your hard effort on the run, and we want to make sure you're using that bike to recover. All right, so these are tempo intervals here. All right, keeping your cadence very high. All right, and making sure that you're getting lots of rest. So you're taking 5 minutes rest between each one of these. Okay, a lot of warm-up. This is a nice long ride. But nothing into your threshold zones. We're keeping this at tempo. A tempo zone, for those that are not used to those types of terms, tempo zone, we're talking about 60%, 60 to 70%. I'm sorry, 80 to 90% of what would be your functional threshold power. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you're working on it at an 8 out of 10. It's more of a 6 on a scale of perceived exertion. So if my functional threshold power is typically an 8 out of 10, we're talking about a 6 out of 10 for these tempo efforts. Okay, so that's really important to note. You have an easy recovery. And again, this is an optional thing. If possible, if time allows, if your schedule allows, if your wife allows you to do it, if your husband allows you to do it, that's important. This is a 55-hour swim, which is going to be a really long one. So we're going to make that actually into time-based instead of yardage-based and time-based, because that would make for a long day. And then as you go through here, you see your big workouts on the weekends. Again, we're looking at going into this aerobic base in your bike. Okay, you've done your long run the day before. You've had some quality work done in there. You know, the only thing we have in here is one 10-minute effort. So it's a 4.5-hour ride. Get out with your friends. Get out there and ride. Do something long. The biggest and most important piece of these rides is we want you really getting comfortable in those aero bars. All right, you're going to go to Arizona. It is not a hilly course. It is a windy course at times, but most importantly, it's a flat course for the most part. So our biggest key and most important aspect is making sure you're able to stay in those aero bars for extended periods of time. So this is the time to focus on that. These are low effort as far as overall. These are big endurance rides more than anything else. But most importantly, once you work on being in those aero bars. All right, I will say this for those of you that are looking at this going 4.5, 5-hour rides. If you need to split them, we can do that. And the same thing goes for this run. You know, if you're one of those folks that says, I can't run 3 hours straight, let's split it. Do an hour in the morning and do an hour in the evening. Or do an hour and a half in the morning, an hour and a half in the evening. You can split those runs as long as they're done within 24 hours at this stage in the game, at this stage of your training. I'm more than happy to see you split those so that you can get the time in and not feel like you're overwhelming yourself by that full effort. So as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. Most of the workouts we're just trying to slowly and steadily tweak your body forward. As I said in the beginning, we've got 28 weeks. We've got a lot of time left, so we don't need to make major jumps. What we need to do is make a steady progression forward. If you're looking at this and saying, I'm not here yet, we have these types of plans from phases behind. So if I need to take a step back, please contact me. And I've had a couple conversations with people already where I'm back and said, you know what, maybe this is the training plan. Let's start you here, and we can progress forward. It's always better in Ironman training to build the base first. And if you get caught in an higher intensity effort, and for instance, these runs, if you're finding yourself in these higher intensity run efforts and you haven't been doing any pace yet, what's going to happen is you're going to either get injured or it's going to just be too much, and it's going to be disheartening. We still have a lot of time. So if you've been training all along and you're at this pace and you're here at this place, you're in really great shape, and that's fantastic, and we're going to keep pushing you forward. But if you're not here yet, we've got time to reach back, pull out the other plans, and keep you moving forward so that you can still have a great race. And I don't want anybody to get to the point where they feel like the training plans have surpassed them. We have a plan for everyone, and our goal is to make sure that everyone gets to that finish line, and that's our focus. So we do encourage what you have to say about this phase, and know what you plan for yourself. The other piece of that is that I've had a few folks ask about is training they're doing and how to fit those in, and definitely work through that as well, not bringing the training down, the training tapering you into something relatively easily. So that's kind of the big overview. I like these relatively short, to basically about a half hour or a little bit, even though I love to talk. So probably best to do is I want to show you this one other thing while I've got you here on my messy desktop. Where is it? Here it is. So this is another thing, and this should be complete within the next day or so, and I do apologize. This is a project we've been working on for a while now. Terms. So we have a glossary, and it's got all of our terms in here. So what we'll also add to the that we use and some other things that you have it in your hands. So we're going to try to get this done for you guys by this week, so you can understand what we're working on and have a little bit of a quicker reference point for things moving forward. All right. Is there anything else we need to see? The one thing I did want to show you guys, we do have this nutrition clinic as well on Wednesday, which is going to be really great and very interesting, and I strongly encourage you to join us for that. I think that is my overview. So, Elizabeth, I'd love to open up for questions if anybody has any. Or just to cover off any other. It doesn't have to be about this phase of training. If you have general questions, now's the chance. So please let me know.
Rob just asked a question, so I'll unmute him.
Okay. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Earl. Hey, this resource, by the way, that you're showing is great. That's probably going to cover 90% of my questions that I was chasing you for a phone call with. But my true question was, I'm racing this weekend. It's an Olympic distance try. I was just curious, looking at the schedule, how you would advise me to think about, and just to genericize this for everyone, if we're doing a race on a weekend during the next 3 weeks, what would you suggest we do?
I think there's two things that come up with the racing, and the most important thing is what's your goal for the race. For some people it's just a training race, and you say, I'm just going to train right through it, and that's great. For others, it's this race has meaning. I want to crush it. I want to do better than I did last year. If it's a race where you want to go and you want to really do better than you did last year. If it's an A race and you really want to push it, which I encourage. I at this stage, I definitely encourage you guys to push it. What I would typically say is basically from Wednesday in, you'd want to back down a lot. So you could take, so for instance, I wouldn't change your swim, but what I would do is I would take the bike and the run for that week and take those down to 60 minutes and insert into each one of those just a couple of pickups to your race pace, like three or four times, like a 2-minute pickup, so you can kind of flush your legs out a little bit. And then on Saturday, you're obviously going to be on the race site, and do your race day, your pre-race prep, running through your gears, doing a little practice swim, and then racing. And make it a race. Make it a good hard race, because a good hard effort in a race is equal to be honest with you, from a stress of your body, it's going to be equal to what you would do in a long endurance type weekend. And then you pick up where you left off for the Olympic distance. If you're doing a half, it's a little bit different. You might need a little bit more taper time if it's an A race, but more importantly, on the other side of things, you're going to need a little more recovery time. So you might need to kind of take those, that Tuesday and Wednesday the next week into just recovery days. If it's a race where you're saying to yourself, my training's going well, I'm on track, and I don't really care so much for time, I just want to get race experience and I want to see what I do on tired legs, then I would say you keep everything together, but except the weekend. I would flip your weekend and still kind of take your Saturday as a pre-race day, and then your Sunday would be your endurance day, and that would be it. That would be my recommendation. I wouldn't go too far. I wouldn't want you, the biggest challenge is I wouldn't want you doing that 2-hour run prior to your Olympic distance race. I'd have you just skip that, but everything else stay the same. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah, and I think I heard you say take the bike and run down, but I'm assuming that means leave the swims, which I'm comfortable with leaving the swims in as they are.
Yeah, I'm a big, with the swim workouts, your body doesn't take on the damage. So it's the muscular fatigue created by the bike and the run is more damaging. One, because a lot of times the bike workouts are typically longer. The run workouts, it's the pounding in your legs. So it's your knees and joints that we want to protect a little bit, and that's what takes so much time to recover. So taking that bike and run down does a lot to aid your recovery, surprisingly. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that 2-hour run out completely and just do maybe just a nice little 10-minute just shake-out run before the race. So, great. Thank you. Sure. Good luck. What's the race?
Sorry, was that a question? What is a race? It's the OC Tri, if that was your question.
Yeah, that was the question. The OC Tri. Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Rob or Brandy?
Do you have any other questions? Anything else? No.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so I just, and he was really nice.
Good luck this weekend, Rob.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, good luck. And Rob, we can connect anytime. I will. Today would be a little bit rough today. If you have some time tomorrow or this week, let me know. And I do apologize. We'll find the time. I promise.
Yeah, no worries. I actually think that my main question was really about that new resource that you were going to send out. So.
Okay. Good. Yeah, we're cleaning that one up, and we're going to make sure we got it all set and ready for you guys by the end of this week. So it'll be good. So, very good. Well, Elizabeth, if nobody else has any questions, I mean, like I said, I'm very happy to answer questions offline, and I know that we're going to record this, and people are hopefully going to listen to it later. But I do encourage people to ask questions, like that, like if they have questions about specific zones, because it does get overwhelming sometimes, and I don't want people to just go out and blindly do the questioning them. That's not how it should go. It should be, should I be doing this? Can I do this? And how is this going to be best for me? And it's hard when you have a big program going out to a lot of people. So we're here, and part of our job is to reach out and listen and offer more individual advice as we can. but we can't reach out to everybody individually, so we're hoping people reach out to us. So that's how I want to leave it today. So please ask questions, and we'll look forward to the next chance we get to chat. All right.
Great. Well, thank you for signing on, everyone. Anything else to add, Earl?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, everyone. Oh, Brandy just asked a question.
Oh, that's all right. What you got, Brandy?
I'm unmuting you now, Brandy.
Oh, I didn't know you guys could. I was just wondering, I have a local coach, and she puts all my workouts on Training Peaks for me. So
Oh, he
that's
does.
why I haven't signed up for your Training Peaks because I'm already getting all of my workouts. But is there any way I can get a separate account and get your workouts on that, just so I can make sure I'm on track with the rest of the group?
Yes. Where are you locally, Brandy? We may have actually already set up an account for you.
Great. So it'll be separate
Let's see.
than my local.
It'll be separate if you haven't got. Yeah, so it'll be separate from yours. Although if they're on the same email address, we may have gotten stuck and not gotten you on there. So let's see. I don't see you on there. I will check with my folks and see if they've got you set up yet. But I think what they can do is I'm assuming the coached account that you have is probably a premium account.
I'm not sure.
Where he can look at chart. Well, I'm assuming you could like look at charts and graphs and all those wonderful things. You can take a look at this, and we should be able to set it up alongside. You'll know tomorrow. You'll get an email, but I'll make a note to find out about that.
Okay, great. Thanks.
And I'll let you know. All right.
Great.
All right. Great. Thanks, Brandy.
Thank you.
All right. Well, I guess if all your questions are answered, Brandy, we'll sign off now.
All right.
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. Sounds good. Bye, everyone.
Bye.